Wow! What's up, Broncos country? My name is Brandon Gilchrist. Here we are again after another tough Broncos loss. This time against the Chargers. And once again, this team isn't capitalizing on the opportunities to close out teams. Yes, they've played two 3-0 teams who clearly are headed in a different direction than the Broncos are right now. But in each of those instances, they had a chance to close out the team and they didn't. It's frustrating. Now we have a Chargers team that's 3-0, while the rest of the division is 1-2, and they have a commanding lead over the division. We've got an uphill climb ahead of us now, and it's crazy how fast you can go from winning a game and leading this division to losing the game, and now you're 2 games behind, and it's an uphill battle. I'm beginning to have concerns with how undisciplined this team is. We're talking about a team that had over 80% of its roster return and somehow looks even less disciplined than they did last year. Untimely penalties. This team had 10 penalties for 90 yards. An inability to put together a game-winning drive. A defense that seems to not be able to stop a team when it matters most. Everything just feels off. And we're talking about Game 3. So it's not a panic time, but in the first quarter of the season, there's an expectation that there is a steady climb up and improvement for this team, especially with a roster of over 80% of its people coming back, and the systems being the same on both offense and defense. Sean Payton said in one of his press conferences last week or the week before, it's really hard to win games when you're a yo-yo team. And that's exactly what's happening with the Broncos. One week, the defense is good and the offense is bad. Another week, the offense is good and the defense is bad. Now we've got Game 3, and once again, the offense is struggling, the defense bounces back, and here we are, another loss. There are a few key plays in the game that definitely seem to seal the loss in Week 3. One of those being the deep shots that were missed by the offense. Many people will say Bo Nix over 3 on all 3 of those deep attempts. I'm not sure it's that cut and dry. In one instance, it seems like the receiver could run and keep their head down a little bit more before looking up and going for the ball. It's really hard to catch a ball when you're looking back at the same time. Another instance, it was a pretty clear overthrow. In another instance, between Courtland Sutton and that last drive, I'm not sure if we're talking about a timing issue. I'm not sure if we're talking about an overthrow. There's usually a lot of factors that go into it. It's not as cut and dry as some people would say. Either way, they were missed opportunities. Another instance in this are the penalties. This team takes on way too many penalties, and they seem to happen at critical times. And we're not talking about just simple 5-yard penalties, face masks, holding penalties. The penalties that set an offensive drive back, especially for an offense that is having trouble finding momentum. Then you have the special teams. We're talking about the offense getting another attempt at getting the ball back, and then there's a special teams penalty. Here we are again, 3 weeks in, and special teams is once again getting in the way of helping this team win. We have Nick Bonito, one of our star players, who had a great game pass rushing, commits an untimely penalty on special teams, which ultimately gave the ball back when it should have been punted to the offense, gave the ball back so that the Chargers could then drive down and score. Do you know how maddening that is? Speaking of the Chargers, let's talk about it. Already mentioned, now they're 3-0 and they're a 2-game lead in the division. But Justin Herbert, I've never seen him play like that. He has clearly reached another level in year 6 for him, and it's impressive to see. It's unfortunate that's happening in our division in a year when we're supposed to be making a surgence ourselves, but here we are. That last drive, escaping a sack and throwing a touchdown to Keenan Allen in the end zone after an admirable effort by Riley Moss to cover. You can't expect any corner to cover for 6 seconds and there not to be some emergence or opportunity for a receiver to catch the ball. And even then, Riley Moss was draped on Keenan Allen and he made a phenomenal catch. in the end zone for a touchdown. On that last drive, he was 8 for 9 for 93 yards and a touchdown. Impressive. That type of effort is what you see when a quarterback has found their stride, is comfortable, and it's clearly shown that he is a vet in the NFL now. That is what we're talking about when you think about MVP performances. That's how you close out a game. That's how you go and win a game. We talked about a few key players being trouble for the Broncos, and here we are. Derwin James was making plays all over the place. Ladd McConkey was making plays when they needed it most. There was also the emergence of their tight end, once again showing the vulnerability of a Vance Joseph defense for some reason, having trouble covering the tight ends. And then there was an issue that we talked about last week that you would fully expect the team to have addressed, and that was the swing pass to the running backs out of the backfield. There were key moments throughout, especially the closing moments of the game, where they just dumped it off to the running back and they would get 10 plus yards. So frustrating to watch. The other piece of it, I talked about the penalties already, but we gave the Chargers 6 first downs on penalties, helping that offense stay on the field. That's also comes up when you look at the time of possession being 35 plus minutes for the Chargers and only the low 20 minutes for the Broncos. It's really hard to win games when you can't control the ball. It felt like the Chargers were on the field all day, and that doesn't help our defense. Let's talk about the Broncos. The offense was 2 of 13 on third downs and averaged 10 yards to go. 10 yards is a first down. On first and second down, it begs the question, what were we doing? You saw some emergence of the running game once again, but when it came late in the game, we seemed to steer away from it once again. That's a tendency of our head coach. J.K. Dobbins had an admirable effort today. He had a phenomenal run for a touchdown coming into the second half. For some reason, late in the game, we didn't leverage J.K. Dobbins to help us run at all, especially when it came down to a 4th and 1 where we decided to punt and give the ball back to the Chargers, who ultimately drove down, kicked a field goal, and beat us. 4th and 1, I would hope that we would give J.K. Dobbins an opportunity to help us convert there, especially with how well he was playing. When it came to first downs, our offense had 9. The Chargers had 29. Again, I don't know how you win a game when you're not possessing the ball. When I look at this offense, the timing just seems off. If it's not Bo Nix, it's one of the receivers. If it's not one of the receivers, it's the running back. If it's not the running back, it's the tight end or the O-line committing an untimely penalty that just sets an offense back that is already having trouble finding momentum. For this team, it just seems like execution is just not there yet. You see moments where Sean is calling plays and the receiver is getting open or the play is there and the team is just not able to execute, whether it's by penalty, whether it's by a missed throw. The team is just not able to execute when it matters. Speaking of throws, let's talk about Bo Nix. Another tough day for him, and it's a reminder that we're talking about a year 2 quarterback. It is incredibly hard, especially in this day and age when nobody has any patience, to recognize there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to execution of an offense, especially a Sean Payton offense, and there's going to be ups and downs. That being said, we've got to be able to hit on those deep throws. Not saying it has to be perfect. By no means, it is a low percentage throw. But my goodness, it seems like we, most of the time, can't hit the deep throw. And that is concerning. It was nice to see Bo use his legs more in attempting to try to keep the offense on the field. Going back to that 4th and 1 and us punting away, 1 yard shy of converting on another 3rd and long with his legs. Bo was out there trying to ball and trying to keep this team going, and you have to respect that. Let's talk about the defense. The defense had a bounce back effort this time around. There were still some frustrating moments, like I mentioned with the swing pass out of the backfield. For some reason, we're still allowing opponents to convert on that, but this was a much better effort. They still had a strong performance in the red zone. I believe the Chargers only converted once out of the 3 trips in the red zone, so the defense was still good there. But the defense itself is also committing some untimely penalties, keeping the Chargers offense on the field. Looking at special teams was better. It's still not there. Mostly talking about the untimely penalty by Nick Benito on the punt, giving the ball back to the offense. It's frustrating because special teams has been good for the last 2 years, and now it seems to have taken a step back. When Darren Rizzi was hired, I mentioned that I was excited about Darren Rizzi coming in. He's been a Sean Payton guy. His special teams were great in New Orleans, but for some reason, it's been a rough start so far this year. I truly expect special teams to be better. That being said, Jeremy Crawshaw, 3 games in, is punting well, and that is awesome to see. So let's talk about build the bunker or bring the thunder, and if there were any opportunities or moments where we want to see more or there's major concern for us. Starting with build the bunker, I've already mentioned it, our special teams. That has to get better. For such a young team with an offense that's trying to find momentum, special teams has to help with the position battle, and we're going to be keeping our eye on that. The other thing that's a potential build the bunker for us is our linebacking core. We've never seen Dre Greenlaw on the field, and we did find out that he is being placed on IR, which I mentioned previously. At this point, with him not practicing last week, they are waiting for him to be 100% before putting him on the field. We're not going to see Dre Greenlaw until week 7. And at that time, we hope that he can be a difference maker for us when it comes to our linebackers. When it comes to bring the thunder, it's our running game. It continues to be our running game. Our ability to commit and give our running backs the opportunity to run the ball and for our offensive line to move forward, to go forward, we've got to stay with it. And Bo Nix even mentioned in his post-game press conference, he recognizes the fact that they're getting away from the run game as well. When we commit to it, we stay on the field. When we commit to it, we score touchdowns. Having balance is the key to this team finding success. Coming out of such a tough loss, you wonder if there are any individual performances to recognize, and I think there are. There's always some individual performances to recognize and give a weekly salute to, and I've got a couple. One being J.K. Dobbins. He had a great day running the football. He only ran the ball 11 times, but in those times, he ran for 83 yards, giving him a 7.5 yard average. Why didn't we give it to him more? At least 15 touches? I don't know. J.K. Dobbins, a great day. Another person who deserves a weekly salute is Jonah Ellis. That guy is everywhere. Notched another sack today, caused a turnover on special teams. Jonah Ellis is just an all-around football player, and it's awesome to see. I hope his ascension continues because he is a difference maker right now. Salute to Jonah Ellis. And then finally, I want to give a salute to Jeremy Crawshaw. For 3 weeks now, he has been punting the ball well. Once again, he had 3 punts that landed inside the 20. Salute to Jeremy Crawshaw on his punting performance. Here's to it continuing. Broncos country, another rough one. But I think we need to give some perspective. This is game 3, not game 10. Yeah, this team seems like it needs more time to gel than we were expecting. I'm still hopeful this team can find its stride within the first quarter of this season. They've only got 1 more game to do it, and as Sean Payton said, they're going to have to make improvements, and they're going to have to make improvements fast because this season can get away from this team quickly. One encouraging note is they've played 2 3-0 teams now in the Colts and the Chargers down to the wire. And in both instances, frankly, you can make the argument they should have won those games. But here we are, 1-2. You are what your record says you are. This upcoming Monday, they have a very favorable matchup against a Joe Burrow-less Bengals team who got throttled on Sunday and will be looking to bounce back, but we can't let that happen in our house. I'm expecting this team to find its stride in this upcoming game on Monday night against the Bengals. Keep the faith, Broncos country. As frustrating as it is, we're just getting started. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments. Are there other concerns that you have with the defense, with the offense, with special teams? What are you looking for in this upcoming game against the Bengals? Remember, be kind. Talk to you soon.